All right, good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, July 27th, 2021, and we're going to get started with our pre-market analysis on the S&P 500 futures market. I was a little under the weather yesterday, had some stomach issues, and did not do a morning session, so we're going to get started for our first day this week. I do want to pull up this higher time frame really quickly just to point out that for the last, what has it been, almost 10 days of market action, we've just been in this very strong bullish push. And basically every morning we've had the same scenario where we did get pretty nice bearish indications off the highs of the pre-market. But overall, a very bullish bias every morning. And so essentially, even going into yesterday, the idea was to have a bullish bias, understanding that there were a lot of bearish indications off of the high from Friday that we had to break through. And so as we pushed, the idea was as long as we could get above the high from Friday, which was somewhere right around 44.08, that we would continue to have a bullish bias. And you can see that right out of the open, which was right over here, they pushed right into that 08 area, got a pullback right into that previous resistance in the market there, and then pushed to make new all-time highs. Another pullback right into the previous resistance there, and then a push to new all-time highs to 1675. And now here we are getting a more protracted pullback here, but overall still holding an important level. So let's take a look at this leg right here. The previous daily low to the previous daily high up here. Got the pullback right into 61.8% retracement of that push, which also happens to line up with an important level that we added to the charts yesterday at 91.75. So yesterday put 91.75 on the charts here based on the previous support and resistance in this general area. And then sure enough, in the overnight session here around midnight Pacific, the market came right down, broke it by about 1.5 points and bounced. And again, that was lining up with the 61.8 retracement and then all of this previous resistance from yesterday. So pretty nice. And so going into this morning, essentially, we have not gone through the divergence perspective, but overall things still do look strong considering that they held the 61.8 and got a pretty strong push out of that area. And so let's just take a look at everything and see what the charts are saying. So let's go up to our ultra high time frames here. And let's take a look. The quarterly is looking as strong as ever right now. Still no signs of exhaustion in the current push. When you go to the monthly, same exact story. And then go to the weekly and same exact story. Now what I notice here is that I believe back last week when we were looking at this this weekly candle that closed on Friday afternoon there, I'm pretty sure, because this is drawn the way it's drawn right here, that the RVI was actually down here at the time. And we were saying that because the RVI was making a lower low, or essentially meeting up with the previous low here, but price had pushed up here. Because of that situation, we were getting somewhat of a bullish indication off of the low of that weekly candle. Well, it looks like when the candle finally closed, again on Friday afternoon there, it actually closed up here. And this is just to kind of stress the importance of waiting for the candle to actually close and get a confirmed level, not only on price, but on the indicator, because what ended up happening here is it closed up top. So there actually there's no longer any type of bullish divergence from that low, but despite that, this is still a very strong bullish candle. It is what's known as a bullish engulfing candle, engulfing all of the previous bearish candle back here. with a big wick on the bottom end. So that candle right there looking very strong right now, and you can see that we're still continuing to push here. Made a few ticks higher than we did on this candle on Friday, and so right now we'd ideally like to see this weekly RVI close somewhere up here, if not a little bit higher, maybe come up over here, since from that previous swing high we have pushed higher as well. But right now, really no signs of exhaustion, and everything looks strong on all three of the ultra high time frames. So let's jump down to our high time frame here, the daily, and look here. We've got basically the all-time high was made on this candle here, and then on today's candle, which has all of today to develop and then close, we can't really say too much right now. It has pushed a little bit lower, or we're essentially making a lower high on this candle and also a lower high on the RVI, but remember, it does have time to develop. Outside of that, everything looks very strong on this daily perspective. No indications of exhaustion from a divergence perspective, and you can even see, just like on this weekly candle, huge wick to the downside. Our previous daily candle here, also huge wick on the downside here, and looking very strong as well. So all of these time frames so far have no clear indications of exhaustion. And then when we get to the 4 hour, remember this was the case all of last week. Every morning that we came in, we got a bearish indication from the overnight high, but a much stronger bullish case from the lows. And so even though there was 4 or 5 bearish indications from the overnight high, we got the pullback and then continuation higher. And this happened pretty much every morning off of our overnight highs, bearish indications, but then a bullish follow through. And so you can see this almost every morning. And now here we are, and this is now coming into this morning here. We do have this bearish case on the 4 hour off of the all-time high and also the previous daily high. They're both the same level. And we did get the pullback, and now we're bouncing. And remember, we talked about this at the beginning of the pre-market here, that this leg here, we're bouncing at the 61.8, essentially almost to the tick. And then right off that important level we had identified, right at 91.75 there. So right now we do have the bearish indication from the overnight high and from the previous daily high. However, on the pullback here, I'm very happy to see that we actually do have a bullish divergence off of the overnight low. So it's essentially the same kind of perspective and bias that we had essentially yesterday, even though I wasn't here to do the pre-market. If you would have done it on your own, you would have come to the same conclusion off of the overnight low from yesterday. You can see also a bullish divergence off that low with some bearish indications off of the previous high from Friday. And so right now things are looking strong. Bullish indication off of the overnight low on the 4 hour. When we go to the 60-minute, I'm actually happy to see that we don't necessarily have a bearish divergence off of that previous daily high and overnight high back here around 1675. So that does not agree with the 4 hour. However, the overnight low definitely has a very clear bullish divergence, which would then agree with that 4 hour low as well. So right now, all of our high time frames looking very strong, no indications of exhaustion. And then we get a bullish indication off of the overnight low on the 4 hour and the hourly. When we go to the daily, there's just not enough resolution up here to see what's going on off of that low right now. So things looking strong. That overnight low is going to be an important level here this morning. Let's go over to our intermediate time frames just to see if we're getting some agreement here. And so what I'm noticing off of the previous daily high, the all-time high, And essentially the overnight high over here, also not really seeing a very clear bearish case from that level, but then I'm seeing a very clear bullish case from the overnight low. So hopefully you guys are getting the picture here. One time frame had a bearish indication up here. Every other time frame is not agreeing, and we're getting every time frame that has resolution off the overnight lows, we're getting a bullish indication so far. And we go to our 10-minute, and the 10-minute, same exact thing. We pushed up here on this overnight, or this previous daily high, which is also our all-time high. No bearish indication up there, and off of the overnight low over here, we do have a bullish agreement on the 10-minute as well. And that low that we're looking at is 43.90.50. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that on the chart here just to keep in mind, and we're going to color it a green color here just to keep in mind that we do have a lot of bullish indications from that level. So ideally the bulls will hold above that to see if we can come up and test this all-time high, previous daily high, and then continue higher. And so that's really where we are this morning. We could look at the 3-minute, although that's not really going to help with the overall bias. We can at least see that we did have agreement down at that overnight low as well. So pretty much every single time frame from the 4-hour, where we get resolution off the overnight low, all the way down to the 3-minute has a bullish indication. And then I'm sure if we looked at the 1-minute here, you can see here's that overnight low. Plenty of bullish indications on the 1-minute every time we came down to test that level at 90.50. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and copy this over to here, here, and maybe even that 3-minute in case we start getting down closer, to remind us that we ideally would like to stay above that. And I might even go ahead and change this because green really is our previous daily low color. I'm going to just make it yellow. So yellow will indicate that ideally we need to stay above that level. And so that's kind of where we are this morning. Holding above 90.50 will hold that bullish case that we have on essentially every time frame. And breaking below that is not a great case for everything that the market's telling us right now.